Well, hello there everybody and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays. We talk about nature while playing games. My name is Will, I'm an ecologist by training, and this is Nightingale, and we are just running away from the spawn point there at Magwytch Marshes, and try saying that 5 times fast. Because, well, I haven't cleared that area yet. So, we're going to run around a bit now, and we're going to avoid the bound up there, and we're just going to go have a look and see what interesting things we can find in this realm. Whether we can perhaps find Old Man's Beard. I'm really looking forward to finding Old Man's Beard. Not sure whether we have got it in the game, but if there is a realm with it in, it'll be this realm. Then we're also going to look for some giant amphibians, some very nice big buffalo, and then any other interesting animals or organisms we can actually encounter. Oh yes, there is a Tabaret's hippo there, so we're probably going to go and have a look at that first. Now this will be the last episode in Nightingale. Next week I'm going to do something else a bit. I'll tell you a bit about that at the end of the video. But yeah, Nightingale, it's a fun game, but it just isn't performing as well as I would have hoped it would perform, unfortunately. Now we have to approach carefully because, well, there is Tabaret's hippo, and it has a calf as well, which most likely would mean that it would be extra dangerous. Now hippos you do not want to mess with, they are bulky. Now hippos weigh up to about 2,000 kilograms, which is absolutely massive. They're protected by a very nice thick skin as well, though that very thick skin has one weakness, and that is the sun. They get sunburnt very, very easily. And so hippos on Earth, what they will do is they have a sweat that also does protect them a bit against the sun. But that sweat of theirs actually looks like blood. It gives them a pinkish color. So, you know that saying that something will make you sweat blood? Well, hippos take that literally. And there we go, it's taking a bit of a nap. The calf is still running around though. Now, normally hippos occur in pods, so they can occur in smaller herds, or they can be solitary as well. And they are really, really aggressive. I don't want to mess with this female here with the calf. I don't want to shoot her either. So let's have a look and see. Maybe we can sneak around. Let's have a look at the haddock's oxen first, and then we'll have a look and see if we can perhaps find some hippos that do not have babies. Because, well, I don't want to now go and kill that mother. Ooh, this is something we can harvest. There we go. Titania's crown, and we have got a sickle that is capable of harvesting it. Here we go. Here is some more Titania's crown, and it seems as though Titania's crown here generally grows around sepplewood, which are these trees over here, with the gnarly looking trunks over here. And Titania's crown most likely is in fact a fungus. Yeah, you can see the gills underneath there. So this is where the spores would actually be produced and then released from. And it most likely is a mycorrhizal species, meaning it grows on the roots of the sepplewood tree. And in the process, it takes up water, it takes up phosphorus, and it passes that onto the tree. The tree photosynthesizes with its green leaves there, and it gives some of the sugars to the Titania's crown fungus over here. But now what the purpose of these tendrils are, well, that I don't know. They're not just simple adornments. In nature, we generally don't just have simple adornments. Usually, if there is something like this, it has a function. So what could that function be? It could be to actually trap insects. Maybe some insects are flying around here and will get entangled in this mess of tendrils, and in the process then they die and they drop down to the ground, and the Titania's crown can then decompose them as well and then get extra nutrients that way. Maybe it is a way to actually get some of the spores stuck on top of them. And then as the possible dispersers of the spores come through here, they again get kind of entangled in the mess of tendrils, but instead of dying, they actually just pass through and they have a whole bunch of spores getting stuck on them. And then as they fly away, those spores will drop off and result in more Titania's crowns growing. Now, I think it's more a case of the latter rather than the former, because these do not appear to be sticky. If you're looking at things like sundew, which I've got a photo up there, those little droplets you can see there, well, those are little sticky droplets that prey will get trapped in. And then when they die, then of course the plant decomposes them or breaks them down with digestive juices. These do not appear to be sticky, so it doesn't appear as though these tendrils are there to catch prey. It most likely is a case of the fungus wanting the spores to be located in a spot where the dispersers of those spores can come through and actually get some of it stuck to them. And it may result in further dispersal of the spores than just letting it fall out and getting carried by the wind. It appears as though this realm is relatively wind still, so just making use of wind is not the best strategy for the Titania's crown. Instead, it most likely relies on insect or other animal, most likely insect or analogous species in this realm, to actually disperse the spores, which is really very cool. Ooh, that is something else. What on earth is that? That is a Tidalik. Oh, that's a giant amphibian. That's the giant froggy. The Tidalik. I was wondering about that. I was wondering what on earth is prowling around here. And then we also have Haddock's oxen a little bit beyond that Tidalik. Okay, so let's have a look at the Tidalik first. It is aggressive. It is a predator. Being a massive amphibian, they would basically go for any animal that is smaller than them. They will try to ingest them. They can't chew their food. They can't tear pieces of meat off. So they will need to grab it and swallow the prey whole. And then there are some Haddock's oxen up here as well, which are basically big buffalo. Really big buffalo. You can see there the horns, though, do look slightly different. It branches, which we don't see in modern day buffalo. Instead, you see that in deer and so, but not in buffalo or oxen anything along those lines. None of the bovids there. Now, I was just about to say, I'm not sure whether they're aggressive. It seems as though they kind of gave a warning call there. But Cape buffalo, for example, which these animals are definitely based on, they are highly, highly aggressive. They do occur in groups, and this could be a breeding group. I don't see any young ones. No, I don't see any young ones in here, but they very well could be. Now, notice that on these animals, we've got these stripes and spots running along there as well. So why do they have that? Why aren't they just a grey colour? Well, those spots and stripes are camouflage, especially in these woodlands where they live, where you've got some sunlight shining down through the trees. It's not just pure sunlight. Instead, it's little pieces of sunlight shining through the leaves or among the leaves there and then hitting the ground, as you can see here, kind of more in a dappled pattern. And that is exactly what these Haddock's oxen are trying to mimic. They're trying to mimic sunlight shining through the leaves and hitting the ground in a dappled pattern. This is a case of disruptive camouflage, where you've got light and dark, contrasting colors in close association with each other, and in the process then breaking up the outline of the animal and helping it remain camouflaged. So why do they occur in groups? Well, most likely is a defensive strategy, similar to how we have with buffalo on Earth as well, where they occur in groups because it allows them to turn the tide on would-be predators. Predators such as lions will stand much less of a chance against a herd of buffalo than against a single individual. A single individual, they may still be able to actually take out that individual, but in a herd like this, well, less of a chance, because the moment you try to take out this individual here, the whole herd can come charging at you. And with those horns over there, well, they will hook you and fling you into the air, and in the process, you may die. So it's not a great idea taking on a whole herd of these animals here. And we are not going to take them on either. We're just having a look at them because they really are absolutely gorgeous. Now, I don't see any sexual dimorphism here. The males and females, the bulls and cows, do look similar to me, or identical to me actually, which I do find strange, because with buffalo at least, you can see with the horns, the males actually have a much more pronounced boss, which is that, let me just have a look from the other side here, so I can show you. The boss is this section over here, where the two horns meet. That's the boss section. And in the bulls, that boss there is more pronounced than females. Females, the horns will come along and then kind of stop over there, not really meet in the middle in that boss section, but with bulls, they do. So either the Haddock's oxen here have got bulls and cows looking the same, or this is a herd consisting just of bulls. I'm not sure which one is true. But we're going to leave this herd alone a little bit. We're going to head on over to this side, because I do believe there are some Tavaret's hippos right over there as well. And it doesn't look as though there is a calf there. So maybe we can have a good look. And if they charge us, well, then we can just save ourselves from the attack by the hippos. It's right in front here. There we go. Yeah, I see two hippos. I do not see a calf. So, yeah. Now, hippos generally are herbivorous. We had the oxen there, the Haddock's oxen. They are definitely herbivorous, and they were grazing on the grasses there. Now, hippos are also adapted for grazing. They've got very wide lips that they will use to actually munch on the grasses, but they can also eat meat. They generally don't eat meat very often, but they can eat meat. They can kill prey very easily. They have massive teeth. And yeah, in fact, there we go. The hippo is charging at us. I'm not sure whether the other one is probably also going to charge. Ooh. And you may be able to, as they charge at us, you may be able to see the massive canines that they have got there. Oh, Percy is down. Ooh, yeah, let's just drink something. Yeah, very, very aggressive. You can imagine a 2,000 kilogram animal charging full steam at you. That's not great. It's not like, oh, hello. Surprisingly, you came from the other side than I expected. They are extremely tough and finally brought them low. And this allows us the opportunity to have a good look at their canines over there. Notice those massive... Okay, where are you now? There you are. Oh, okay, you're up there, okay. Maybe we can have a look here at this. No, this one, the mouth is closed. Okay. Okay, unfortunately, there we go. Okay, maybe we can have a look from the side here. So notice the massive canines there. Now, the canines there, even though it is perfect for killing prey, this is not their main function. Their main function is actually to fight with other males. These were most likely two hippo bulls, and they use those teeth to really fight one another. You can see two little incisors poking out in the front there as well. Not great at actually biting food, so biting grasses off. Instead, they use these very big, wide lips to munch grasses off. And then they will grind it down a bit. They do have some molars in the back. They will just swallow a whole bunch of food, and they are typical hindgut fermenters, meaning that they eat a lot of food, don't digest it very well, and it comes out semi-digested on the other side. Very short tail, very similar to what we see with real hippos as well. And yeah, this is pretty much a normal hippo. Notice that you've got both the nostrils and the eyes and the ears on top of the head there. This is something you see with aquatic species. You'll see it with crocodiles as well, with the nostrils and the eyes being located at the top of the head. And it allows them to submerge most of their body underwater there with only their eyes and the ears in this case, and then the nostrils peeking out. So they can breathe because their nostrils are out of the water. They can see anything approaching them because their eyes are above the water. And they can hear what's going on, whether other hippos are calling or whether there's danger in the area, because their ears are above the water as well. So perfect adaptation for an aquatic, or in this case, an amphibious animal, meaning that they are on land and water. Now we just need to harvest this hippo over here as well. Interesting, the patterns. It is not just red here. It also has some white on the face and on the neck here on the hump as well. This is perhaps, again, disruptive camouflage, where it's meant to break up the outline of this animal when it is actually walking on land here, because it most likely would be a bit more vulnerable to attack by leopardon maybe, and other predators that could perhaps take them out. While they are on land, they are perhaps a little bit more vulnerable, and hence the aggression. So where they sense danger, and they just decide to take out the danger. Alright, we've got to come and heal Percy over here, because Shame Percy is down. Now we do still need to go find that Tickalick again as well. There we go, it is in fact right in front there. And there it is, a massive frog. Now, you can see here it actually walks around because it's in no rush. I mean, it does take a bit of energy to actually hop, and you can hop further and faster than you can walk, at least in this case. But it takes a little bit more energy, and there is the risk that this big frog over here will actually injure itself by jumping and then smashing into the ground or smashing into a tree, perhaps jumping too far. But it does have very strong hind legs, and it will be able to jump at us when it senses us. Not very good vision, it seems. It most likely relies on us, or its prey animal at least, moving for it to then spot its prey and then actually take it out. But interesting, what we could also see there is, again, eyes on top of the head, and nostrils also on top of the head, because it allows them to breathe and see while they are in the water. Now, I'm not sure how amphibious the species is. The water would actually support its weight quite nicely, so it most likely is at least partially amphibious. But once we have taken this one out, we'll have a look at its toes and then see whether it is in fact amphibious or not, or whether it is more terrestrial. And we'll see that based on the webbing between its toes. Okay, we'll try to take it out as quickly as we can. That didn't work. Okay. Well, took a while, but there we go. Well done shooting at it, Percy, eventually. Alrighty, so let's have a look here. Yes, okay, so you can see. Okay, now we can see. Now it is floating up here. You can see here, with the feet, you can see that there's quite substantial webbing there. However, it does also appear to have discs, little round adhesive pads on the tips of the toes over here. And it also seems to have that on the front legs there. You can kind of see the front leg, the front foot here. You can see these little adhesive pads there. It most likely indicates this frog over here can actually climb vertical surfaces, which is strange considering that it is a massive frog. So maybe it actually can't, but its ancestors could. It's just one of those traits that are still left because in the family that it is in, they can climb vertical surfaces, but it is too big to actually be able to climb vertical surfaces. It will fall off and it just can't support its weight on a vertical surface. So maybe that's just a vestigial characteristic here. Now what we can see on the side of the head here, there we go, that is its tympanum. That's like its eardrum. Okay, they don't have external ears or like pinna, basically the earlobe that we have. Instead, they've got that tympanum over there, which will vibrate as it picks up sounds. It will vibrate and then transmit that, and they're able to then sense vibrations in the air, and they can then hear. So that's what that weird round disc is that is over there. You can also see here a very nice big eye. They probably can see quite well, but as I said, they most likely, like with most frogs, respond to movement. Now, not true that they can only see movement, unlike what Jurassic Park will tell you, where T-Rex, for example, in the movies, they can only see if you move because, well, frogs, their vision is based on movement. Yes, they will respond to movement, but they can still see things that are not moving. It's not as though you stand still and you become invisible. Interestingly enough, it has got a horizontal pupil, mostly horizontal, a bit of a vertical extension or distension there as well in the pupil. And I would actually have expected the pupil here to dilate with it dying now. But I guess, in this case, it doesn't dilate as it dies. But this horizontal pupil, meaning that it could also still be a prey animal. It is trying to keep the horizon in focus. Because horizontal pupils like this, we typically see in prey animals. And we may, in fact, be able to see it with haddock's oxen as well, which are over here somewhere, I believe. Let's see if we have a good look at your eyes. Can we see there? You're just moving on. Okay, come on, let me look in your eyes. Just look as though they've got horizontal pupils. If only this individual would stand still like that one over there. Go on, stand still. I need to look at your eyes. Thank you. Ah! Oh dear. I was just figured that's not Percy. Oh, hello, here's another one. For a moment I thought that was Percy. Turns out it's not Percy. It is the Leopardon attacking. Now, I'm not sure whether that has now startled the oxen. Doesn't appear to be the case. Well, that was unpleasant. Naughty. I'm trying to look at the eyes of the oxen and then I get attacked by Leopardon. So it looks as though the oxen still not attacking us, even though we did just shoot directly next to them. But now I've lost the oxen. But yeah, there we go. So, Tiddalik, let's just harvest you as well. Now, I did say that the nostrils are on top so they can actually breathe. Well, they most likely can also just breathe through their skin. So, amphibians have got semi-permeable skin, so it does allow oxygen to diffuse through their skin into their bodies. But it does also make them vulnerable to pollutants, because pollutants can also diffuse through their skin into their body, which is really not great. Not great for them. It makes them very vulnerable to pollution. Let's see here, haddock oxen. Let me see your pupil. Most likely they also have horizontal pupils. Does kind of look like it. Yeah, it does look like, you can see they kind of a diagonal pupil there. But yeah, it does most likely have more horizontal pupils, which is great. It is a trait you would typically see with prey animals. So I really am not surprised that they have got that characteristic. There was something. Oh, these were harpies. Here they are now. Oh, alright. So, harpies, of course, mythological creatures. Flying creatures. Oh, wow. Look at those jagged teeth over there. And where are your eyes? Have you even got... You've got eyes. Okay, you've got very small eyes in front. It almost looks as though the harpies here have got very poor vision. Teeny tiny little eyes. So, perhaps semi-blind. They are very humanoid in shape. At least they've got a human face over there. It looks like you've got a nose and a mouth and then eyes. This is rigor mortis is quite pronounced here. But they've got their membranous wings, very reminiscent of a bat's wings as well. And then they've got very sharp claws here. Again, very bat-like. They definitely are very bat-like. So I would hazard a guess and say these harpies here would be roosting upside down, either in caves or on the rock faces, or in big trees, where their claws there can actually hook around the branch and then they can hang upside down, very bat-like. They've got some other components over there that's kind of humanoid as well, typical harpies, I guess. But this does not appear to really be very mammalian. This almost appears reptilian, although they do appear to have a belly button over there, which would indicate that they are most likely not egg-laying. They most likely give birth to live young. In this case, most likely are mammalian, at least mammal-like. But those very sharp teeth we see there are definitely to grab onto prey and not let go. Now, we very often see these conical teeth in piscivorous species, in other words, in species that eat fish. Things like Spinosaurus, for example, would have these conical teeth, and crocodiles also have these conical teeth. However, I don't think this is a fish-eating animal, and in fact, it is shaking its head as well, saying, no, I am not eating fish. I am a big flying creature. Well, that kind of makes sense as well. I mean, a big flying creature doesn't want its prey to slip out of its mouth. So it has kind of two rows of teeth there, very conical in shape, kind of a case of convergent evolution, where the same trait here, conical teeth, emerging in two very unrelated species, in other words, crocodiles and the harpies over here, because it fulfills the same role, grabbing onto slippery prey animals and not letting go. As for the question of why on earth it has a humanoid head, the answer there most likely lies in the fact it has a very long neck as well. And in fact, the face almost appears flesh-colored. So I'm guessing that the harpy here mimics its prey. It will be lying in wait with its neck extended and its head facing the right way around, so that if you're walking around in a cave system or in a dense forest, you see the face and you let your guard down because you think it is another human. And then while it has you distracted with you looking at a face over there, what looks like the neck of this human then actually opens up and you are facing a massive array of sharp conical teeth, grabbing you and not letting go. But I'm surprised that Percy could actually take down a harpy, because the first time I came into the Magwytch Marshes, the harpies, they did kill me. So, yeah, well done, Percy. You may be a glass cannon after all. Very low health, very low armor, but very nice, strong attacks. Alright, but that's the harpy. Now, I do want to go and have a quick look to see if I can find fen rats. I want to see what they look like, because they most likely are in the actual marshes. They're most likely a water-dwelling species as well. There are some more taverets, hippos up there, and there is a calf up there as well, so we're going to leave them alone. Very often, if you've got animals like hippos most likely, but definitely elephants, if there's a calf, or if there are calves there in the herd, they are extra dangerous. You definitely don't want to mess with them. So we're just going to stay clear of the hippo with the calf up there. There is another titalik over here, so let's have a look and see if it actually jumps at us. I'm pretty sure it can jump. There we go. Yeah, it does. It does, in fact, jump at us. And there we go, the long tongue that they use to actually pull us closer. Perfect. Really typical amphibian. An extendable tongue that they can use to actually catch their prey. Very sticky tongue. It also did bring us closer to its massive mouth. And it was trying to kill us to then swallow us whole. And yes, using its very powerful hind legs, of course, there to jump at us and then try to bring us closer with its long, sticky tongue. Very chameleon-like as well, because frogs, yes, they can extend their tongue, but it's generally not, usually at least, not as long as we had there. That's more like a chameleon's tongue that we saw there rather than a frog tongue. Nonetheless, this is a fantasy world, so you can excuse some artistic licenses being taken here. There's some more Leporodon. We talked about the Leporodon previously as well, and we've already been attacked by them once, so we're going to kind of stay clear of them. Leporodon most likely focuses also on the smaller prey animals like the fen rats. I think it's called fen rats. We'll have a look when we eventually find one. Yeah, indeed, they are called fen rats, and there are some up there. So let's have a look, see if we can get closer to them, see what they look like. Now, a fen is basically a lowland area that frequently floods, so it's a frequently flooded lowland area, but generally it is more alkaline rather than acidic, which is interesting because most wetlands are in fact acidic. So it's a It's a more alkaline, sometimes slightly acidic, sometimes neutral, but very often kind of alkaline wetland. Ah, there we go. I saw some fen rats moving there. There was one there. Now, they are definitely very skittish. They are quite small, so they would be scared of us as humans as we're running around here because we are much bigger than they are, and they would view us as a potential predator. Just trying to catch a glimpse of them. The fact that they are called fen rats means that they most likely are adapted to these fens or marshes. They are adapted to life. There we go. Ooh, it's almost weasel-like. Long tails. It seems as though they are very good swimmers, and they are most likely using that to get away from predators and potential predators like us as well. There it is, kind of just swimming around. Now, I'm not sure what adaptations it has. Oh, there we go. It's beautiful. Such a beautiful little critter. Oh, it's vocalizing as well. Hello. It does look like it has got two sets of incisors, one at the top and one at the bottom jaw. So it most likely is an actual rodent. Biggish ears, they can probably hear very well. Okay, this one does appear to be kind of stuck in the water here. Hello. Interesting, that little weird little extension at the tip of the tail there. Most likely that is to help them steer while they are swimming. So especially if they're trying to swim very quickly, they can then kind of steer with that. Like use it like a little rudder. An interesting coloration as well, kind of greenish in color, most likely to blend in with vegetation in this landscape as well. Now, if they want to be really well adapted for life in the water, they would have webbed feet, because that is something we do see in a lot of aquatic and semi-aquatic rodents. So we'll have a look and see if we can perhaps see that. I don't think we will be able to see that, not unless we actually kill it. It's almost hairless, which again kind of makes sense if it is a hot, wet area. So if this area doesn't experience cold winters, they wouldn't be like, oh, we've got disease. Yeah, I figured we would get disease there. From standing in the wetlands or marshes, we now officially have a disease. Now, being hairless would be a very good adaptation in this marshland environment, or at least having very short hair, because it means it doesn't get too drenched. Of course, if you've got a watertight coat, that's also perfect. A water repellent coat, that would also work. But being hairless, if it's a hot, wet area like this probably is, that is perfect. That is a perfect adaptation. Because, a shaggy coat could help you stay warm in the cold winters as well, but I don't think this area actually experiences very cold winters. I think it has got quite warm winters. And having no fur, or being basically hairless, also means that they are more streamlined into the water, and that is why it is such a great adaptation if you can afford to be hairless. But yeah, there are some very, very interesting animals in this environment. One thing that is missing is Spanish moss or some kind of other lichens growing in the trees here. Things like old man's beard. I really expected old man's beard in the wetlands here, in the marshes here, because we very often find those in these marshland settings. And unfortunately, we just don't have that. I was kind of expecting to talk about them when we saw the marshes here, but it doesn't seem like we've got them. But this is where we're actually going to call it a day, everybody. It's a bit of a shorter episode to end the series with. Of course, on Friday, there will be another Enshrouded video coming out. And then on Tuesday, we're going to play a bit of a city builder game, which just released into the full version. And it is called Flotsam. It's a really cool game. So come and join me on Tuesday to have a look at that. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't yet. It really helps the channel out. And it's always so nice to just see more people joining the ecology squad as well. And of course, as I've mentioned before, I now also have got channel memberships. If you'd like to support the channel a bit more, help a small creator out, there are 2 tiers there. Have a look at some of the benefits you can get there. Nice badges and emotes and so on as well. But until next time, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Cheers.